Okay guys, so here's my Stryfe mod guide. I already started pulling stuff out. So basically, when you open it up, this is in here, like this, one second, sorry, it's kind of hard to do, but this is like in there, and then this tube is, this little plastic piece here is inside of this tube, so it's kind of like fits in together. So all you have to do is take the 4 big screws out of this, this, and this. Don't touch this silver one, and then just pull it out and set it to the side. Now, in order to pull this out, you also have to take apart. You also have to take this out. So this is the thing that holds down the wires, and obviously you can't pull the wires out if this is covering them. So you take that out. I just leave the screws in the screw holes, and I put it over here where I have all my my parts that I don't want to get sandy or anything. Okay. So what I did was I took out the trigger and pusher. Show you what that looks like. So that sits in here like this, and you just unscrew this and unscrew. Actually, don't unscrew this. Unscrew this, and then take this little loop off of this post, and then that should come right off. And I just put that in, and then the trigger also comes off. So just unscrew the trigger screw. And then that's where I'm at right now. So another thing I did was I already took this apart. So this sits in here. How does this sit in here? These things could be a little tricky. I think it sits in here somewhere. Okay, just take this plate off, and underneath the plate is another switch, and it's like in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clip this switch. See, sorry I had to cut the video. Family was in here. So basically all I did was, well, I cut it, was I snipped these 2 wires and I just put the switch back in without anything connecting to it. That just makes it so the clip can hold in a little bit easier. It's got an extra little kind of lock that just pushes on it, and I like to keep that in. So I'm just going to keep that in, put this plate back over that. I seriously don't know how this plate goes on. Okay, it must be like this. Right. Yeah. Okay, so it goes like this. No, it doesn't. Okay. Whatever, I'll put this plate back on, however it goes. And then I'm also going to have to unscrew this, and that takes out the jam door lock. That takes out the clip lock. It's not a lock, it just clip release is really what it is. So let's try to get a good, trying to unscrew something one-handed. Try to get a good footage of that. There we go. So unscrew that. This screw comes out. That screw comes out. This whole assembly is going to come out. If I can get it out. Try to keep all these pieces. I'm just going to put those in there because I don't want those to be painted. Okay, put them where they are so I don't lose them. That's all open now. I'm also going to take out the trigger. I mean, not the trigger, the rev trigger. Put that away. And I'm going to take out all of these electronics. So I'm doing the full rewire. So snip everything with your wire cutters. Just unclip basically everything. And then to unscrew this plate. The screws inside these big silver screws, you're actually going to need a different size screwdriver. So try to just think of that whenever you're, think of that if you're going to mod this gun, just so you have a bigger screwdriver on hand, because it might be a little tricky. Take this plate off, all these things. So now we're going to the motor assembly. So right here, right here, right here, and right here, there's a little debate. I don't necessarily know if they're resistors or not, or thermosistors, but I snip them anyways because I'm doing a full rewire. So, and it will, if you're using a LiPo, it will lower your amperage. So I just snip it all. So okay, so off camera, I took wire snippers and I just snipped this and this. Those are these 2. And now all this electronics is garbage. So I have my motor cage. Just gonna put that away because I'm gonna paint this blaster and put this Actually, that has to all come out. So this, I don't want to paint any of this front part, so just taking that out. Take out these little white pieces. And, okay, I figured out what's going on. So this plate, the plate that goes on here, which is this, we're not going to need this because we're going to put a new switch in, but this actually goes there, not here. So this plate goes here, and make sure if you want to put this plate back, which I want to do, this little tab that's sticking up, that goes upwards and not down, because I was trying to configure how to like do it. So right here, these two metal things, I'm rewiring it all, so I don't need this switch, but it'll, like I said, it adds some friction on the clip, so I'm keeping it in. It's not connected to anything, I'm just keeping it in and closing it off and forgetting about it. Now it's just part of the gun. I'm just going to spray over it, don't care what happens to it. So I have my two leads here and here. This is the positive, this is negative. And I'm going to now, oh, one more thing. There's a lock right here. Take that out. This lock right here prevents you from pulling the trigger unless the rev switch is depressed, and I like to pull the trigger whenever I want. So I'll get back to you. Okay, so it's all done being painted. I'm just taking the tape off of the areas that I didn't want paint on. While it was drying, I soldered up the motors. These are Tamiya 130 size motors. I use them in most of my guns. They're really good, so I like them. I soldered up. I'll show you when I do the wiring, but right now I'm just going to put all the internals inside of the gun. Okay, so I'm taking the wires that I'm running from the motors, and as you can see, the black wire's already in there. I'm just running them over to this section of the shell. So what I'm going to do is I just put them inside of this groove and just kind of, it's nice to have some flexible silicone wire. It makes it easier to, here, let me see if I can do this. I might have to do this off camera, but that's okay. There we go. So I just run it through this little groove in here, and then this is easy enough. You just put that little plate, where is it? Then you just put this little plate right over here and screw that down. Oh, yep. And then I'm gonna run. I'll show you where I'm running these wires. Okay. I'm sorry I couldn't show me soldering the wires, but I'm assuming if you're doing this, you're already used to soldering and you know how to solder, because Stryfes are hard. And if you've never done electrical work or anything, I would just practice before you start modding your gun, because I do not want to be blamed if you damage your gun. Okay, I make my guns work, but if you somehow follow my steps and mess something up and you break your gun, I'm sorry, it's not my fault in any way, because I'm just trying to help. But you know, you also have to take responsibility. So I have the wires from the motors running through here, running through here. Now the negative wire goes straight to the battery holder area. Right over here is the batteries. This is like the inside of the gun. So the negative wire goes straight here. I just run it all the way along here from the motors. Now that goes there. Now remember, when you're modding your gun, it might be different. Your negative might be here, but I think it's always the same. This is the positive terminal, and this is the negative terminal. If I'm confused, I like to write a little. When I first did my mods, I used to write a little plus and I write a little minus there, so I know which one is which. Now, when I'm modding my gun, I always want to have batteries in it, so I can constantly test it, because now, as you can see, mine works, but I wouldn't know that if I didn't have batteries in it. So try to keep batteries in it while you're testing it. Doesn't have to be good batteries, just so you know that it's working. Now, something else. You have to make sure your polarity is correct on the motors. If your polarity is not correct, your darts will not spin your flywheels will not spin the right way, and your darts will be shooting this way instead of shooting out. Now, I always have to recorrect mine. I have a little tester battery pack, so when I'm soldering up my motors, I can test and put darts through and make sure the darts are spinning darts are flying the correct way. So back to how I soldered it. So the positive lead from the motors. I already did the negative. The positive lead comes through here, up here, and straight to here. Oh, sorry, never mind. The positive lead goes all the way down here. Do not solder your positive lead directly from the motors to here. That will not work. Solder it all the way down, wire it all the way down here, and yet again the flimsy silicone wire. I think this is 16 gauge. It works great with ultrafires and lipos. This is really good wire, and it's nice and bendy, so I can fit it in all these grooves, and it stays in place. So your the wire that's coming directly from your motors will go to, one second, this is a little confusing for me as well. So, okay, right. The wires that are coming directly from your motors will go to this terminal right here, and the wires so after you solder from your motors to here, you want to solder another red wire because it's still positive from here to your positive terminal on your battery. That will give you a nice loop with your switch. Oops. Okay, that works. That's just finicky. Okay. Now, as you should know, all my mods, I do a full rewire. If I write full rewire, it means that these crappy, bad, just not good Nerf switches will not be in here. Usually what I do is I'll get a nice high amperage cherry switch and I'll sink it in here with some epoxy putty. But I ran out of cherry switches. I have to order more. So for now, just for the purpose of the review, not the review, mod guide, I'm using the Nerf switch. Usually I would just carve all this out, and then like some of these posts, and sink in my cherry switch, and then wire it up to the cherry switch. But I have to use this Nerf switch just for now. Don't worry, all the guns I sell, all the guns I use, they all full rewire, and they don't have any of these switches in there. This is just for the purpose of getting the mod guide out as soon as I can. So that's it for the wiring. This switch should go right back in here. Now, I'm screwing, because I have, like I said, the Nerf switch, I'm just going to put this plate back on. And then I'm also going to show you, you know what, I'll do it right now. This goes right like that. So that goes like that. It's pretty easy. The internals for the Stryfes are super, super simple. This little spring is going to go on there. Yeah, if I can get it on there. There we go. And then basically the trigger will move this and push that along. Okay, so I put everything back in. It's all running smoothly. All of this you see is white lithium grease. I put it all over all my moving parts inside the gun, especially on painted moving parts. But I don't like to paint like trigger and rev trigger and trigger release. If you specifically ask me to do it, I will do it, but I'm really pretty against it because it just doesn't look as nice in the end, and I like to keep orange on my blasters. So one thing you have to remember is, I always forget this, but try to remember to put this in, otherwise you won't be able to really effectively have attachments on the top rail or on your bottom rail, which is right here. Whoops. This will go on right here. Okay, let me cut this and I'll get back to you. I'm just gonna install this. Okay, so this piece is, there's a little faux barrel right here, and you have to kind of lift up the motor cage. So you have to slide the little piece of barrel right between, inside of this front piece and the motor cage, and it should kind of slip in. It's really hard to do this with one hand. Yep, okay, there we go. Oh, shoot, I didn't put this on right. Okay, so I screwed in all the screws for the motor cage, and I got this down. Make sure this piece is the right way, because it was the wrong way and it wasn't letting this fit on. See how it's like perfectly cut? So this is on now, and I'm going to get the shell. Okay. There's some sort of crickets in my workshop. I don't know what's going on, but they're getting annoying. Okay, I'm going to put this on and put all the screws in.